Good morning. Second live I've done. Got a weird light on me. Um, First off, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. This is pretty sad. It's weird when people have an illness like that. Sometimes it's sad, and sometimes you're kind of pleased that they're perhaps not in agony or not uncomfortable anymore. And hard to kind of see that with the timing that perhaps it wasn't known. And so yeah, I look forward to having Ozzy on the on the other side. I'm not the first person to use that term. So yeah, I look forward to having him in my corner from the other realm. Basically, that sounds a bit crazy. So what was on the diary this morning? Really not a lot, which I'm actually kind of glad at, because yesterday was intense. Today, pretty light. It's basically just nicotine. I'm going to talk about nicotine. And it's been 1 year since, what is that like? Big dark spot on the camera. Strange. I wonder if the camera's already broken or anyway. 1 year on, off of vaping and off of cigarettes, really. And I was pretty, a year ago, I was pretty pissed off with the vape ban. And now I guess I'm happy with the vape ban, even though there's time you can still get a vape. Isn't that strange? So the way there's lots of other factors involved, but I can't lie. I have to say, well, yeah, there was a vape ban a year ago, and I haven't really vaped since then. I found the Nicorette gums, and they are of a million bazillion times better. I honestly believe I would have saved myself so much trouble if these existed for the 10, actually it was more than that. It was 15 years that I smoked cigarettes. That would have been amazing, because they're so much cheaper. So much cheaper, there's so much less effects. There's really no negative effects. I was concerned that maybe the feminine thing was maybe there's something in here that was doing that, but it can't be, because I looked at the timing. I'd already wandered down the little feminine road, the shaving my legs and things road, before I even had the gum. And so that was a relief. And these are the things, this is what having a diary kind of does. It's like, I didn't know the specifics. It's actually quite hard to remember specifics unless you get really specific with your note taking. And yeah, I hadn't even had the gum yet. So that was, that's good. So basically what I would assume if I had to psychoanalyze myself, and it's a little bit sad and a bit strange. It's probably, I was always probably more feminine, and I masked myself with things like smoking and having a beard and being a dad and having, it's probably more than likely, because it was that difficult, at least in my mind, and I think in reality, to be a feminine guy when I was growing up. Far less so now, but still quite difficult. So anyway, I have the weirdest thing now where I see people, young men, having this thing, and it's still quite bad and difficult, but yet it's so much easier. And then they have the added burden of this. And I think it's strange because they're doing this, and this is where, again, I'm going to point this down as a as a difference in the world. This is like this ageist thing. So I'm doing this here. I'm doing the exact same thing. I went through the exact same thing in this negative way, but there's a disconnect between the two generations, and that's because these things aren't being used. Like, there is this like voyeuristic thing, and there is like a higher demand for young people, and it's almost like digital dungeons. I feel like if I felt that in a thing, I had the benefit of kind of, and also the worst thing of being literally in the dark, like there was no one there, so that's kind of bad. But then I would say the flip side of that, having lots of people, is maybe just as bad. So we're in like this. It's like, I believe we're in the middle of this like crisis where that effect will actually be, well, I can't tell. Basically, I have no desire to overshare from this point on. I was sharing the intimate things because I had to. And that's how I got to these places, how I figured out all these things. Is really difficult. So I think it's a good thing that people are sharing and documenting their journey. I just wish there was more emphasis on like, hey, a lot of those people probably aren't there for the right reasons. You're going to lose a lot of them, and you need to be strong on your own. And this, like, just like a reframe. It's like, hey, for someone who's kind of been doing this, and I never really had the intention of doing it, and I've never really had an audience. The one thing, when I went and did live gigs, I went and did them, and then I had all these people like, that was amazing, oh my God. I'd never had that. I had one little period when I first started doing things, and then probably, like, I was quite bad at the algorithm. I never do things like quality of video or anything, or quality of sound. I'm really lazy with it because it never really was that. My peak was always to do live performance. And so here was just like my diary and like a rehearsal space. And I was in other rehearsal spaces, so it was just exactly the same. It was how everyone else treated themselves, voyeuristically viewing me rehearsing, and the stories that they came up with based on their interpretation. That's what caused all the trouble. And the same effect is going to be there if you are performing to them, although perhaps the younger people have, I don't know, it was more perceived by the whole generation that they were performing and that it was an interaction. So that's probably protects them. So I just perhaps am in a weird cohort that was aspiring to do live, practiced here, had a bad time in here. But it has prepared me to do anything. There's literally been almost no transition to do live in my mind, because I was always doing lives. I have never recorded something that I didn't share, because that was my rules. That was what I made myself. I would sit there and record it. And it was purely just because I hadn't gotten around to do it. Like, I just didn't press live. I just did it. It was my flow was a different way. But everything I've been doing is live. And I think what happens now that it is live and that people can comment, I think it's kind of now a moment where people are kind of they'll be perhaps people that have been watching are now like, holy shit. It's like, yeah, here's your chance. All the things you're saying behind the scene, it's like, say it right now and I can respond to it, whoever's happens to ever be there. And I just think that's the final like curtain reveal. If I was on a stage, it's like it's the bombshell. It's like yeah. I'm a real person. I'm doing this every day, and I'm doing it for a reason that you don't understand. You've never asked. You have no interest. And most people that have tried to attack me within this thing have done it from a place from secretively, and I think that's really intense. And that will be happening the whole way from me doing it in this weird segment to people doing it that have tons of followers. I think there is a human instinct to tear people down who are trying to do something different. And I think there was a window where it was really easy to do that. And I think hopefully what I'm doing here by going live is basically the people that were the haters and the people that were trying to attack, like the voyeurs that were like, oh, look at him, like now they're just not going to be there. They're going to feel exposed, I think. So yeah, if you have a nicotine habit, I would highly recommend this. It's far cheaper than even vaping. And pretty good. These fresh fruit are my favorite, and I go down to 2 milligrams, which is pretty good. What else was there? I woke up this morning having a dream about Donald Trump, and he bought me a taco, which was good. And the line I remember from my dream is he said, I've had bad sons that have given me a harder time. So it was like it was weird because it was like I was very pro-Trump, had to inevitably push back once he won to stabilize. And I feel in the dream realm, it was almost like just a moment of like respect. And it was I really appreciated that. A few other weird little things. Like there was a weird thing to do with like Canadian money was really weird money. It was this weird white, it looked like paper and it felt like really thin fabric. And it was, I don't know, that was that. Something to do with Canadian money. And something to do with vitamin C. Vitamin C. We were looking for vitamin C. But anyway, no one wants to hear about people talk about their dreams. So I'll stop that. I'll end now, but so like my physical things, I'm actually pretty, so like I said, I would smoke cigarettes and have a beard and do these things to kind of mask my femininity. Not really mask it. It's like I have that ability, but it's uncomfortable for me. But I think a lot of I think I was performing a man, basically, like what I thought was a man all the time. And so that's it was this really uncomfortable thing. My body wasn't working how it actually works. It was working how I thought it would work if I was a man, I think, which is fucking crazy. And so the pathway out of that is to take up a feminine like movement, and sometimes over the top in private, to unlock, to like shake off this weird performance that I've been doing for 20 years or 19 years and get back to baseline. And this wasn't like a role. It's not like I went to theatre school and went and did a role. It was like, you're going to be a man, a father. Now do it. And no, it was like a self unconscious thing. And so me letting go of that. It's basically like the reason I know is because it's my own body and I can feel it. Like I basically, it's just, I'm shocked. I'm like, wow, you were like doing this weird position of your body that wasn't working because you were thinking it was more manly to like cover up that you weren't that. for so long that you don't even know, and for so long that it actually like was causing you massive amounts of pain. And I think this is what, when people say they're in the wrong body, it's like they're not in the wrong body. They're using their body wrong, or there's strange things about their body. And I just think this is a far bigger thing. I think people do judge the way people move. And it comes down to like my mum used to call it like standing on ceremony, and like all its shoulders back. Both my parents were military people, were in the military, and one of them was, born in 1932. So it's like I had a different emphasis on a lot of things that I think aren't there now. A lot of those are quite good. I think it was the interplay between that and what I was seeing in the world. So it's almost like I was trying to do that whilst like skateboarding and like, and whilst like hip hop, and it just, yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster. And it turns out that I'm just far more comfortable being like a kind of like free, like, yeah, my posture is massively different. Like my shoulders end up like tucking back and under, and then I've got a way bigger arch. There's things to do with like my belly that I was like, I was self-conscious about. Like my actual posture is like quite, like my belly goes like this, and then it actually follows here. Like but I would think I was fat, like really fat. And that does come in because I've got a lot of hair on my chest, but then it was like girly to shave your chest. So it's like this piling on thing. So in my head, I look like this gigantic, hairy, fat man. And this is what you hear from like a lot of young people. Like this is what they're kind of afraid of. But I was protected from it because I was a father. So I was doing this crazy important job of being a father. Yeah, it's quite intense. I think there's an interference by our media that is so large, and it did. Like, I'm talking a lot about the phones. It didn't start at the phones. I think there was maybe a thought that the phones might unlock it, and in a way, look, they have. But I think the inevitable thing you need to do is to get rid of the phone and find your center, I suppose that's what people would call it. And hopefully as soon as you can. And like, this is where it's really difficult because you might have to do things that are outside the norms of like your group or something like that. And the way I did this like secretively. It was like a secret life. I wasn't going out being gay or even being trans or anything. I was just going out and like dancing and picking up women. And compared to it, like a father, that is quite feminine. So that was my thing. It's only like, who knows what would have happened if I didn't have that role as a father to play. I'd say I could be in such a different places. It's unimaginable. And I think so inevitably as my kids get older, and the fact that they've been, that role has been taken away against my will, has left me to have to kind of readapt and find something else. So yeah, I don't know, big complicated mess. But that's pretty much it for today. I might try and get a better camera because this camera is a bit shitty. But I kind of like that it's shitty. Maybe I can I don't know. It's mainly meant to be a radio show. And that's probably kind of what I'm going to try and do, is just do like what a radio show would be every morning. And the video really isn't all that necessary. Maybe that's it. Maybe I've got a face for radio and I should cease all video content. But no, that's basically what podcasting is. So yeah. I might just mention this Epstein thing is, I think this is a way of addressing in the higher echelons of society what is happening everywhere. And literally, as I said, the phones, there is multiple levels of that market that exists in the phone world. And I think a huge portion of what is going on to the marketplace of the phones is sex trafficking of some description, or just kind of it's the marketplace for that, like the whole thing. So of course we're going to get to a point where, say, we have presidents that have been paying to have sex with 16-year-olds, but it's like, well, I could probably drive for 20 minutes and there's probably 16-year-olds that are having sex with men in their 40s and 50s to get drugs right now. They're not even getting paid. They're getting drugged, basically, and getting taken advantage of under the same ceiling. And that's where people will push back and say, well, yes, what can we expect if our presidents and people are doing this type of lewd behavior? And it's like, I don't even know. I flip it again. I'm like, well, what do we expect from the president when we have distributed an entire marketplace of this openly and supported it with our finances and supported it with having phones in schools and classrooms and in media and things? One thing you'll find is phones in television and movies, they still look odd. Mark my words, keep an eye open for it. Whenever you see someone using a phone in a movie, it breaks the movie a little bit. No one ever really does it that well. And I think that's where we need to be focusing on. It's like these are an interruption to our lives. And people that have been in there longer, so say for me, it's like 15 years of phones. And I'm like, that's a terrible 15 years. Whereas the little celebrity 14, 15-year-old kids on that, it's like that. And this is what I got exposed to when I was selling mirrors, and I did a deal with these two girls who were quite good dancers. And my thought was like, because I'm specific with trying to sell to dance students, and I saw how their self-promotion of these girls changed, and it freaked me the fuck out. I was like, this is not what I was putting my money behind. I was putting my money behind like a sport, and I was thinking of it as a sport, like any sport. And the way I saw it turn and the age of these things, and I was like, that is fucked. And that's what basically showed me the whole thing. So it's like, we've got this thing going on at the top with these Epstein files. It's like, unfortunately, the bad news for everyone is that an entire marketplace of this, and it makes no difference whether these are digital interactions or whether these are real. In the case of the Epstein's ones, these people were quite well remunerated as compared to, as I said, the example of the person, the young people that are getting the same things happen to them for drugs or for, you know what I mean? Alcohol. There's all these things. We're not having the appropriate conversation. There should be an umbrella conversation that's like, hey, we've gone down a fucking really wrong road. One of the major culprits is the phones. We've commoditized human beings. And of course, we've been doing that for a long time. That's what basically factory workers are. So they tried to squeeze the Industrial Revolution into the commodification of basically children. And because they came from the world, these business leaders, things where they were already commodifying people in their factories and their industrial chains, that it was no different for them. That was their world. And it's like, I think we're at the point where we can have the conversation that the whole thing needs to be looked at. Because it's not stable. So everything's going to be exposed. It's like basically it was a period. It was the inevitable conclusion of the exposure of stuff that was going on in the shadows into the light. And that's where the phones are like, they are the sword. They've come through, they've killed a lot of people, they've destroyed a lot of lives, but they've also exposed a lot of things, and we're on this trajectory out of that, I think. So I'm not... but then there has to be condemnation, the same as a sword, and we have to learn how to live in harmony with this destructive device and all its capabilities. And it's very few people that are getting to a point where they're doing something like this. So I'd say this should be the highest output of the phones. Like, everyone with a phone can do this. They could do a high level expression of their innermost feelings and thoughts on all the subjects. If we had that, if we had 10% of the population doing that, then Parliament would step down the next day, and that would replace it, because that's what Parliament is. So it's trying to encourage people to, rather than consume on these devices, is start observing the whole field of what's going on with this device paradigm, and then attempt to achieve a higher level within that paradigm. And this is something like that. And this is possible for everyone. You can do this with a phone. You don't have to get rid of your phone if you change your entire, if you realize you're looking at the whole thing rather than just continuously looking at your own little carrot and stick, which is what they want. You've got to pull back. For me personally, at this point, it's far easier to completely remove it. And actually, the way I'm looking at a phone, even if I saw a picture of a phone this morning, came up as an ad, and I had a repulsion to it, as if I just drank a bottle of Jack Daniels, and I'm looking at the bottle of Jack Daniels. So this is what I'm like, this is where this is going. Bottle of Jack Daniels still looks nice, on the shelf. It's this beautiful, like all alcohol bottles, they're very well designed, all these things. That's something we're very familiar with, is having something beautifully presented that contains poison that is terrible. And that's where I believe there has been a clear attempt by the phone producers to create something that looks innocuous. It's just a small little black rectangle that doesn't have, even the logo's kind of not gaudy and obvious. It's kind of hidden. It's just this, they've tried to make it basically just a tool, like a knife and fork, or like a glass or something. They want it to just be part of the world, and I think it's going to fail, and I think it has failed. And I think the way to see that is to watch movies and really pay attention to your mind and think, what is my reaction when I'm watching people use a phone in a movie? And I think that's where we need to start realizing. And it's kind of like the same as when you might in a film have the slow motion person of the person sitting there with the Jack Daniels by themselves and just drinking fucking thing after. It's the same image is the phone. It's not this innocuous device. It's attached to a marketplace of horror, and it's time to they've had their run of unattacked distribution. Basically, it's like, no, that if there's one thing that has shaped the last 15 years negatively, It's the phones. It's going to be an era. You can't. And actually, like on that, I think the phone was the same. I think the only reason we didn't notice the damage that the landline phone had done was because of the mobile network, which is the same. It's still a phone. It's still the same thing. They just changed the shape, changed the form, made it this innocuous thing. And then you could kind of have a nostalgic look, or you could have oh, remember when phones were this? And now we've got this. It's like, well, my explanation is, yeah, the mobile phones are terrible. The smartphones are fucking absolutely terrible. They're connected to this network of fucking bullshit. And then it's like, yeah, and that just exposes how damaging and how terrible the landline paradigm was as well. It's just that you haven't had those conversations. And they tried to literally get rid of anyone that could have that conversation. All you've got to do is go back and find a man that was around before mobile phones and say, what were phones like? And they'll be like, they were shit, unless they were salesmen. And this is literally the thing. I watched a UE ad, which is UE Insurance. Go and have a look. Try and find it on the internet. It's a mum and a family sitting there, they're going to find their car. She's holding like these balloons. Goes to where the car is. There's broken glass on the ground. Obviously, the car has been stolen, and then she basically like orders her husband to go and get fish and chips and fuck off with the children while she has this little affair on her phone with this really good-looking insurance fucking guy. It's like, fuck off, fuck off. Do you know what insurance used to be? A baseball bat to whoever fucking stole the car, or a guy going and finding some second. It's like all of this marketplace is just basically an outsourcing of what men did into the world, powered by women's fucking desires of having these affairs on phones and these like. And I can see it, and I can 100% explain it in 1,000 different ways. So you've just got to have the right conversations with the right people in the right places and get back and go, well, look what women did with the phone. They turned it into this, and look what their paradise looks like. It doesn't just look like Epstein Island. It looks like Epstein fucking universe. And there's no way that you're going to fool me. And it's like, I've seen this with the dance mums that were doing this to their fucking kids, that were leaning on them to do this. I've had conversations with a mother whose daughter was doing OnlyFans, who was encouraging her to do it and encouraging her to be a stripper. Well, I had conversations with the daughter saying, I just want to be a mum. It's like, this is the fucking real thing. Let's kick that fucking door down, you know what I mean, with the SWAT team, and have a look at what it is that the feminine, risen through the telephonic age into the smart telephonic age, is actually projecting out into the world. There's a reason why I'm a father that doesn't have my children, trying to destroy this fucking world of phones, while my children's stepfather is like telling them that this phone is this thing. Of course, think about it. Think about it. Go long fucking term. I will get down to the most accurate, specific narrative and storyline to how I'm going to explain this to the world. And for the suppliers of these phones, I will protect you the whole way. You didn't know. An Apple computer, a laptop, Mac Mini, something like that, wonderful device, wonderful. The phone, bullshit. Google, their network, all these things. I'm obviously using a Chromebook right now, but the phone's bullshit. And I'd like, basically everything happened the moment I was in that world. And I think there is a clear story to tell of how this happened. On the flip side, it's like, I think we needed this to happen. So that's good. And it's like right now when there's a lot of like, say, mothers and things like that sitting, and fathers, but like a lot of people sitting there waiting for some type of list. They're like, who's on the Epstein list? It's like those things are just going to flip back and say, like, who has been supporting an entire fucking disgusting fucking world of commodified human beings, with the worst people being treated with that is young people, of men and women now, because there's now an openness to both those things, being commodified down. In the most horrific cases, that person being found on the side of a fucking Dubai highway after they've been sex trafficked on a phone. This is a global marketplace. What do you think it is? And then you go back, it's like, what do you think dating apps are? It's a global marketplace. One of them, I'll end this now by saying one of my theorized changes to the dating world, and this is because I lived this. I had children young, but I would go out. Going out now, when I go out now, there's no men. I don't go out that often, but I've kind of driven past it. It is a supermarket of young women wearing no clothes. And you could say, oh, that's always what it was. But it's not. It's far different than what it always was. And this is the largest thing. This is how it works. They're stuck in their phones all day. All their friends are in their phones. They're talking to their friends all day. Then they're either come Friday, they're going out, they get fucking topped up on fucking alcohol from the bottle shop, which didn't exist. You couldn't do that. So they're fucking smashed on the thing. They then go out and dance and have a good time. There are no boys there. Or if there are, they're just fucking in this, I don't even know what they're doing. And then it comes to the end of the night, they're all on their phones waiting to be picked up by their fucking Prince Charming, literally, who's just more than likely some fucking foreign, like, forged fucking rich person pretending to think that then comes and picks them up and fucking harvests the drunken fucking, like, catatonic fucking drugged up fucking hussies that have been lured into this trap by their phones. It's like, that's what you're supporting? That's what you put me in fucking jail for, to support that infrastructure? It's like, what comes next? The phone towers get fucking blown up with giant signs. We know what you all did. And then a fucking housewife sitting there like that with a wooden spoon. Like, fuck off. This isn't going to fly. And there's 1,000 ways that we're going to shut it the fuck down. And we're going to tell the story the same way as the women of the world are desiring this story of, like, Donald Trump paying some fucking no-hoping fucking whatever chick way more money than she's ever going to see to fucking touch him once, while those fucking same people are shipping their daughters off to basically be gang raped by fucking fraudulent fucking foreign fucking psychopaths in a digital fucking economy where they've never even lived in the real world because they're like this. And the mothers are like, yeah, go and get it while you're still young, honey. That's the thing. The women they are not understanding that the fucking game has changed. They're thinking, oh, I wish I had done that when I was young in the world it was then. So they're sending their fucking daughters out unprepared and fucking literally just completely vulnerable to this predatory system, reliving their own past. And then the whole thing exists because women are untouchable, because they're all connected on the network. It's not hard to fucking see. And it takes courage to kind of give it back to them. It's this it's like the grass is always greener. I think the same thing applies in a negative sense. Like, the grass is always shittier and more poison. Like, oh, look over the fence there. Oh, Donald Trump's paid people to have sex with him. But it's like, yeah, look in your own backyard. Look in your own backyard. And what are you attached to? What are you in support of? And I think there has to be an acknowledgement. It's like this, what Donald Trump has done, perhaps, or all of them has been happening for millions and millions and millions of years. That was happening at the same time of, say, like when my father grew up, there was like debutante balls where there was like protection of the fucking women, and they would go out and find the right person and they would have a husband. That was the majority of women. So that was the elite or the highest form or whatever. And in that paradigm, the women were being very well looked after. So what all that's happening is we're exposing something that's been happening for millions of years, but we're missing the thing that's happening really soon now, which is this entire digital infrastructure of this that doesn't work the same. I had this with the girls that I was trying to sponsor for their dancing. What basically I got to is oh shit, they can't the amount they're exposing themselves, not literally, but they're exposing themselves to this much attention. They're trying to recreate, let's say, a Britney Spears, but Britney Spears had $1 million industries behind them. The fact that I was being able to sponsor them with my tiny little fucking mirror company showed me how radically underprepared those parents are going to be to defend their children against the fucking attention that they've got. This is why all the celebrities don't show their children in this thing. I in my paradigm, I was speaking to friends and family. I didn't have millions of followers. I didn't have any of that network. I was having a conversation with that and nobody came around to help. No one came to assist. They just all watched while this fucking system gobbled up my fucking children. That was always the stand I was making. It's like, hey, I'm using this as a person. I'm the same fucking person that sat around the dinner table with all of you while I was a child myself. I'm the same person that has sat there and raised his children, all these things, all of it ignored to appease the fucking, it's not just Epstein, it's the fucking Epstein phone. Like Trump's releasing a phone. You know what I mean? Put fucking Epstein's face on the back of every smartphone and then maybe you'll understand exactly what's going on in the world. Connect that to a stock market, stocks and bonds. Doesn't that look like a fucking stock, like an old-fashioned stock with a lion's head poking out of it and its hands are free? Stocks and bonds, this is what it was. Stocks and bonds converted to people in phones. What is actually going on in every city, in every place in the world right now makes Epstein look like a fucking wiggle. I kid you not. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is to do this. Do we go and find the worst offending parents and drag them in front of the fucking media? Probably we do. We have to. And I think that has to be the conversation. Like we go find the dance mums of this generation that are fucking not preparing their children to be in the Olympics or something. They're preparing their children to be in that. It's like that. You have to do it. There's no other way. And it's like, how did it happen? It was the phones. And why? Because they were on the phones themselves and they were being fucking brainwashed by all the fucking shit. It's just that men are less susceptible, especially men that are like, my thoughts of what I want is like if you think of the Dan Blazarian, whatever, with the boat and the fucking cigar and the 7 bikini women, I just see that as a headache. I do have kind of, things with women and sexual, but it's far different. It's less, I don't want that to be a public thing. It's never been that. I actually really enjoy doing that. So it doesn't matter whether it's public. I don't have to have other people knowing that I'm fucking doing this shit. That's status, because it's apparent. If you're in bed with fucking 3 women, then it's apparent that your status is obviously enough to get you in bed with 3 women. I don't need anyone else to know. And in fact, if you let anyone else know, they're just going to want to fucking come and fucking do it or glean off it or I don't know. So it's like that's the world. And the thing is, when you get to Donald Trump, I don't think he probably was, but even if he was, where you get to him on Epstein, it's like, well, how about we tell the real story where Trump didn't need to pay fucking Epstein if he had have just gone, like there would have been women who were 18 fucking throwing themselves at him to go and get a handbag or something like that anyway. And at the time during his thing, it's like he 100% would have been doing that. I wouldn't want him as president if he wasn't in the place he was at. It's not my cup of tea, but it could have been. It could have been if I was in that. If I was in New York City and I was doing that, it's like, yeah. And I think every guy fucking understands it. Not so much the fucking underage stuff, but I think that's like, I think in their world, that was like the fucking expensive bottle of fucking champagne or something. That's what the thing was. And that, even you can see when you have that works. When you commoditize that, like think about this. Think about the most expensive bottle of champagne. It's like $40,000. That's probably not even. You're probably like, Shannon, you're just showing yourself there. The most expensive bottle of champagne is probably $2 million. Think about, it's like, oh, I've got a brilliant idea. Let's commoditize the most expensive bottle of champagne. Doesn't work. You can't do it. But that's what phones have done to the world. Like, it's the communism of sex trafficking that is a nightmare because it misunderstands, because it is driven by women's perception. The majority of women have missed out on Prince Charming in their lives. So their desire is to communize or socialize Prince Charming, but that doesn't work. Because Prince Charming isn't, do you get what I mean? It's like, this is supply and demand. Whereas men don't have the same, I think kind of like the story of Cinderella doesn't really work for men. I don't think there are Prince Charmings. They're not looking really for Cinderella in this world because Cinderella's a nightmare. This just is not, why would you? Even if I was like, but you might want to have a night with Cinderella, but you don't want to fucking take Cinderella and all her baggage with her fucking stepsisters and shit like that. You don't want to take that home because she'd just be whinging about that the whole fucking time. She's like, oh, bloody hell, I've got this fucking, and you're like, fuck, time to fucking reset, have another ball and find another Cinderella. That's the real world. So we've got a really serious like supply and demand marketplace to map out, and nobody's doing it because the mothers of the world have decided that even if their daughter gets a fucking one chance to be fucking Cinderella, no matter how many fucking roadsides she finds herself on, it doesn't matter. And this is what's always happened. It's the same as like, we're having the moment now that say we had in the 80s where hyper competitive men were trying to push their children to be golf players and things like that, like Tiger Woods. And everyone was like, oh, his father was so, or Michael Jackson, oh my God, his father pushed him into fucking this. This is happening the same in reverse now with women. It's like, she's going to be the biggest fucking like porn star in the fucking earth. She's going to be the highest class prostitute in the world. And that's just really unfortunate. I didn't write the rule book. I just have a fucking pair of binoculars and I can see the field of it. And that's the conversations we need to start having. And we need to get our head out of the sand and start telling it like it is and reading the fucking room. And it's like this, there is no world where, like, take a show like McLeod's Daughters, which was this show about a bunch of daughters in the country that have, you know, all those issues. They've inherited a farm, and they're all cowgirls, and they're all into horses. Of like, you put phones in that, and it just becomes weird and like a nightmare. It's like it changes all the base dynamics, and then you can see it's like what happened to McLeod's Daughters and the thing. It's like they flogged the old man's farm off, and went chasing fucking cock on Tinder. There's no need to it. There are no Like if you think about that, think of the television when we were growing up was the equivalent to Instagram. And so that, say, prime time, think about prime time television, at least one quarter of that, a couple of nights a week, was dedicated to a couple of girls trying to fucking keep the farm together. You can't replace that with 7 million fucking girls on fucking private jets doing this thing. It's like the world economy, there's only like a fucking 20 things that we really need in the world. So there can only really be so many billionaires that have the ability to have yachts and things like that until you start getting like segmenting this shit up and getting into weird areas. And then it's like the pinnacle ones are getting attached. Like Donald Trump and Bill Gates, they're in this Epstein thing. Yet every time I open my phone, there's 1,000 fucking rich guys with fucking jets with 7 girls in the thing. It's like, what the fuck are you all smoking to even continue this fucking delusion? And where's McLeod's daughters? Guess what? Donald Trump's fucking grandmother's maiden name is McLeod. I'd say they're in Australia. I'd say Donald Trump has some fucking daughters or some nieces or something like that are trying to keep the farm together down under whilst he's there, taking the big job, while there's a bunch of fucking Middle Eastern fucking psychopaths shipping women around the world because they're hypnotized by their phones that are made in China. Crazy, isn't it? So who's the largest sex? It's like everyone's looking at Andrew Tate as the largest sex trafficking thing. It's like Apple. The Apple iPhone is the largest sex trafficking fucking villain in the history of fucking the world. And Apple's a person. So Apple is a sex trafficker. Yesterday, Donald Trump released a video of Obama getting arrested. It's like Apple Computers needs to get arrested for sex trafficking because that's what it is. That's what the reason the idea of Tinder appealed to me as someone who had been a father for probably maybe 10 years, maybe 8, 9, 10 years already. I was living this McLeod's daughter. I was trying to keep the farm together and trying to fucking save the world and all this stuff like this. And then this fucking app comes, which is like a pizza delivery for fucking women. That's what it sounded like to a father who had been a father for fucking 8 years at that time. Oh, pizza delivery for women. I've been going out and trying to fucking dance and get drunk. And so that sounds way better. And I felt like I'm missing out. The reality of that is no, not at all. That fucking entire paradigm is the largest mistake in the world. They started with Tinder, which was that, of course. Then it went to these fucking dating apps, and then it goes to Instagram. All of those things are the same. It's all the same. It's a fucking menu board on a phone. The whole world is that. So, yeah, if you want to bring up a fucking high-class fucking escort service that pushed the limits of fucking carnal law or whatever that fucking law is, then how about we look at the fucking largest sex trafficker in the world, which is Apple Computers, that makes zero effort to limit this ill effect. That's distribution base and its manufacturing base is off United States. It's in China. And then where do we go to? So we go to China. What's the conversation we have with China? China, why did you assist Apple Computers in making a fucking entire marketplace of sex trafficking? It's like, well, because your people have been sex trafficking Chinese people for the last fucking 7,000 years. Then we have to go, good call, China. Good call. We can't be, as Western people, naive to the fucking horrific things that we're doing in our own backyard. That's the conversation we're going to have with China. Why did you help them do it? Well, because you did this. Yeah, okay. Right. And then the conversation, how about we all stop doing it? They'll be like, yes, yes. But then you get to Apple Computers and it's like, what's going on there? Perhaps this was all built to expose this and bring it down in flames. And then in that case, then what is it? This is the largest diplomatic exercise, intelligence exercise in the history of the world to end the act or to highly limit the act of sex trafficking across the globe. Because the thing is, it's like that we have a map of fucking planes and boats going everywhere in the world. It's like, trust me, we have a map of the sex trafficking and the sex traffickers and the customers and the product. I'm saying that in the thing. I'm not ever classing that they are actually product, but I'm saying that's how it be viewed by the masterminds of this system. So we can see that network. And then it's like, well, who's going to play the game? Does Apple play that game? Does China play that game? Of course they do. Because I don't think China wants that world. I don't think Donald Trump wants that world socialized. Donald Trump was doing it as an elite thing, like they said, the hot bottle of champagne. Of course he would know. Like, think if Donald Trump makes elite places that are that are expensive, you can't think. It's like Donald Trump and McDonald's they come from the same place. You could kind of say they're the same, but it's like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Donald Trump, no way, would ever stand behind the McDonald's or the Domino's Pizza version of Epstein Island. And he would know that. And this is the thing. It's like you have to be able to get to a conversation where you go, he would be in a circle where that would be existing. So that's why he would know that you don't want the McDonald'sifization or the Domino's Pizza franchise model of that. So he would be at the front line of fighting against it. And that is far worse. That's far, far worse. And that's a difficult conversation to have for most people, because most people will sit in the place where they go, if it's going on anywhere at any point, if anyone's having sex with anyone that's this age, then we should shut it down. It's like, okay, Sandra, your fucking niece is here fucking doing this and this and this, whatever, rah, 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 rah. Have you done anything to stop? No, I haven't. And you view constantly this content, which is glamorizing this materialistic fucking Barbie doll, fucking handbag, mini skirt lifestyle, that's the uniform for all of them now. That wasn't the case even when I was a teenager or when I was young. This mini skirt, it's like this one-piece mini skirt top fucking handbag, like prostitute. They all just look like prostitutes. If you go and get fucking rolling footage. You know how last time I saw this was when I was getting taken to the Watch House and I drove past 3 fucking bars in Northbridge, because that's where it is, just looking at a line of prostitutes trying to get in a fucking club. And every time I go out, I'm like, there's just a line of prostitutes trying to get in that club. At the same time that I was forced to have clubs where we wore fucking hats and shit, like caps, baseball caps. Fuck that. You stole my fucking childhood or my teenage years with that nonsense. You know, it's like, but even then, it was at least like everyone was out together and we were doing that. And then now it's just commodified down. There's just literally every club on Friday, Saturday night, there is a line of prostitutes, basically just of age, lining up to get fucking hammered so they can get on their phone at the end of the night and fucking go and find Prince Charming. It's the Cinderella story of mass sex trafficking. Yeah, it's really horrific, and it's all these things combining. Some of them, like, think about most women, you talk about Cinderella, they'll be like, oh my God, Cinderella, that was my favorite movie when I was a kid. It's like, do you know that the Cinderella effect was used to create a global sex trafficking thing with mobile phones? And they'll be like, no, so the weather's fine. They won't talk about it. No woman will ever talk about something that they love perhaps being used as something absolutely horrific in the world, as the model for it. They'll be like, oh, you know, when you perpetuate this myth of this fucking yacht fucking lifestyle with fucking beach fucking living and all this, you know, that's also like luring, you're chumming the waters for these young girls to go and be commoditized in this global sex network. And they're like, I don't really know what time it is, but I've got to get the fuck out of here. That's every fucking woman on earth. But the men are not naive to it. And so what happens is it ends up, the older women are thinking that they've escaped this period. It's actually in their interest to degrade the younger generation of women, to raise them up. That is what Cinderella's about. It's about that. It's about the fucking stepmother and the stepsisters fucking hammering the Cinderella into the ground. But the full circle is that they made Cinderella into a prostitute in a global network of phones that they ushered in. And because they're protected by the invisible generational wall that was created there, they don't have any interest in changing anything, because as far as they're concerned, all the young girls can end up being prostitutes because that elevates them to queen status. And on that note, I'm going to end this broadcast, and I can't believe how passionate that was and how specific it was. And yeah, I'm going to log it into the evidence bank on, otherwise known as YouTube. That's powered by Google. And then I'm going to share that link over to Facebook so that we can start pulling this net in, which is with the World Wide Web on the net, pulling the net in and catching all the fish in one fucking big go, like that. And by fish, I mean, I don't know, evil people that perpetuate this fucking thing, or evil people in the media that wish to elevate the status of certain very, newsworthy, gossip-driven, mudslinging operations and ignore the very large structural fucking atrocities that have been constructed around you. And more than likely, you're watching this on that. And I'm not holding it. I don't have a phone anymore. So if you're holding a phone, you're connected to Epstein. You may as well be Ghislaine Maxwell in this next 10 years of humanity. So have a great day.